Hello chess friends and welcome to Zarov's chess channel and welcome to our basics in chess series. So in this series we're following opening principles, middle game strategies and the endgame strategies. Today we'll talk about some endgame strategies again, but today we'll start sort of a new series in which we'll start from the beginning, so from the normal positions that can happen to you with some pawn king endgames, pawn knight and king endgames and similar ideas. So today we're starting with the most important principle in the endgame. It's the opposition. So the opposition is this setup. When you create the kings in a parallel setup, there's only one square in between them, and the most important thing is for you to create the opposition. So it means if white plays here king to c3, then he created the opposition. So it means now this parallel setup. If black here plays king to c5 and it's white to move, then black has managed to create this opposition. So now this endgame is a draw. Here I wanted to show you what's the huge difference between the opposition when you create them and or when your opponent creates the opposition to you, because now it's white to move and this is now a drawish endgame, because here if you try king to d3, you see king to d5, again black will go into the opposition. So here after potential c3 we can go c5, we can go here c4. We are playing now king to c6. The most important thing is that we are waiting white to go somewhere where we can create the oppositions. For instance, if king to c3 happens, then we'll play simply king to c5. So here in this position, if king to d4, we'll play simply again on the opposition, and here white can never promote this pawn because we will simply go further after king to c8, king to b6, and now we're going again into this opposition position, and now after c7 we can play king to c8, and after king to c6 it's stalemate. So this was our beginning position. Here you see it's a huge difference which move it is, because now after king to d3 and king to d5 it's draw. So but let's now see what happens if black is on the move, because now after the potential king to d5 or king to b5, the same thing will happen. So here king to d5. We don't want to go now into the opposition because we have created the opposition, because we have played the move king to c3 and it's now black to move. After the move king to d5, we can play king to b4. And if king to d4 happens, then we'll simply push the pawn further here on c4, and our opponent has to go away, and we can simply play something like king to b5, c5, then after that king to b6, king to b6 and c6. So here we're waiting again what to do. Here black can proceed with the move king to d6, but now we're playing again king to b5, and if our opponent again plays something like king to c7 in order to stay with the king on this file, then we are again going into the opposition. After king to c8, we have king to c6, now king to d8, and you see we're pushing the pawn further. But now after king to b7, it's game over because we can simply promote your queen. So let's see now another example. Here is this so-called opposition on the 5th rank. When we manage to do to get our king on the 6th rank and we have the pawn on the 5th rank, it doesn't even matter which move it is, white is winning here for sure. So that's why you should always calculate your options in the endgame. You should always evaluate the position and ask yourself the question, can my opponent create the opposition? Can my opponent go into this setup where he can create the king on the 6th rank and a pawn on the 5th rank? Because whoever is on the move here, white is completely winning. So let's see now after the potential white's move king to d6, you see king to d8, and the problem is now after the potential e7, black has to leave the protection, and we can simply go further with our king to d7, and the promotion is unpreventable. So again, the same position if it's black's move. So we saw now the example when white was on the move. See here, if black has to move, then again we go into a similar setup. Now again e6, e7 and e8, the promotion. So what can happen to you is here a very tricky position. It's this king on the 6th rank and the pawn on the 5th rank, but you could really make a mistake. The problem is now if you play from white's perspective the move king to c6. If you play king to c6, then it's a draw. It's unbelievable, because here we can simply play king to a8 would be a mistake. So we should play here king to a7. For those who have maybe troubles with some endgames, I think this is really a tricky idea, because now you see b6 can happen, but now we go king to a8, and what to do? If b7 happens, then we can play simply king to b8, king to b6, and again it's a stalemate. But if you try to go further with your king, then after king to c7, again we have a stalemate. So you see how tricky this endgame can be. Here, as I said, king to c6 is a mistake. What you shouldn't do, as I said, after the move to king to c6 is to go king to a8. Then again, white could promote, because here after potential king to b8, white can play the move king to b7, and now after king to a7, again we can promote to queen. But as I said, after this potential mistake by white, king to c6, in this position you should go first king to a7, and now, as I said, it's a draw. What white should do in this position is to go with the move to with the king to a6. Now it's not a draw anymore, because if black tries now the idea king to c7, like parallelly here we tried king to a7, then again we can simply push the pawn further, and now there's no risk because of the stalemate situation. Even if here in this position, even if black tries here something like c8, we can simply go king to a7. As I said, if black tries king to b8, then we can simply go b7, and after king to c7, here it's again a winning game for white. So this is the huge mistake that you can make here in this parallel setup. As I said, king to c6 draw, king to a6, it's winning for white. So let's see now another example. Here we have the so-called distant opposition. Now white has a winning game, because white can force an opposition here, because white can simply proceed here with the move king to c4. After potential king to d6, again it's us that are creating this opposition position, because now after king to c6, again we go into an opposition. Again, after something like king to d7, we go king to d5. We're following simply black's king. After king to d6, king to c7, we have king to c5, and again king to c6, where we have created this so-called parallel setup again. Again, we have the king on the 6th rank, and now it's time to simply move the pawn on the 5th rank and win this game. We can also go here immediately c4. After potential king to c8, we simply push c5. As I said, after king to d8, we can simply again c6, c7, c8. So here is a position in which black is on the move, and black can here create the so-called distant opposition, because black has the opportunity to force really the opposition with the move king to d6. Whatever white does now, if c4 happens, then we simply attack the king, and we'll reach this position in which black can simply wait and go again into the opposition. So what white can do after the move king to d6 is to play maybe something like king to d3. But now we're again going into the opposition, so it's us that we are creating again the opposition setup, and now white cannot win this game, because here after king to c3, we again go simply into an opposition. If white tries to move the pawn, king to c5, king to c3, and again we'll simply play king to c6. After potential king to b4, again the opposition, we go simply there, and again we go simply king to c7, again simply moving up the king, and here after the opposition position, we go simply king to c8 and king to c6. It's a stalemate. So sometimes we forget about the opposition, because here in this particular game it's basically a thematic draw. White will not be able to promote his pawn, but there is always the problem we forget about the common positions. In one game that was played, black tried here the move rook to c6. What black was hoping for is after rook takes c6, king to c6, and after potential c5, we can go king to c7, and again king to b5, king to b7, and we would reach the opposition position, and it would be a draw. But here black made basically a blunder, because now it's not the point that we want to take the rook. Here in this position, white tried king to b5, and this is suddenly a winning game here for white. You see how you can really forget about these things in chess, because now black is forced to take the rook on c5, and after king to c5, we have reached the opposition, and it was white who was winning the game. So Okay, I hope that you realize these ideas. These are really the most important principles in chess endgames. We'll continue with the series. I think it's a very, very important topic in chess because I've seen Magnus Carlsen, Vladimir Kramnik, Vishy and Garry Kasparov making mistakes really okay under time pressure, but they were making similar mistakes. Jose Raul Capablanca, for instance, lost completely thematic drawish game. So it's really important, and you see sometimes we forget about the most important principles in chess, and I think in this series we'll improve our endgame skills. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my other basics in chess videos from the series. Here's the link, and you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles videos in which I show you all of the possible tactical motifs that can happen to you in a chess game. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.